Okay, so I always start these the same way. Have you ever seen any of my typing sessions before?
Uh, I have seen some bits and pieces, and then I watched your typing of Jennifer, which convinced me to get a typing from you myself.
Okay, cool.
And I've been watching your videos for a while now, so it was about time. And there's a guy called Majestic INFJ who speaks highly of you, and I enjoy his videos. So um, I'm no stranger to typology, but I'm looking for someone who knows what they're doing instead of giving me a typing, based on um, appearance alone or something like that. So I think I'm at the right place.
All right, cool. I hope you are as well. I'd like to think so. All right. So let me start then with the last vacation you went on. Can you tell me some of the specifics of the last vacation you went on?
That would be difficult because I'm not the kind of guy who goes on vacation. Um, I I'm pretty much a workaholic, and when I do get a little bit of time off, I'm usually at home. But of course, I've been on a vacation before. I'd say maybe
Have you been sent out of town for work, maybe?
I had to go on a retreat in Santa Barbara about, let's see, that was in December, the beginning of December.
Okay. So can you tell me kind of a quick linear progression of first I left on this day, we got to the place at this time, that kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely. So I got all my things ready the night before. I probably packed too many clothes, but I didn't want to wear the same thing. So I have some Adidas sports suits that I really like to wear when I have free time. So I packed my green and black, a red and black, and a blue and black one, and got the appropriate shoes that go with them. And then I made sure my car had enough gas in it. And then I left with time to spare in the morning because I don't like to be late for anything. And I got there a little bit early. So I used to be an avid surfer. I was a state national champion in high school. So I wanted to look at the waves. So I went and looked at the waves before checking into the hotel. And then when I got back to the hotel, I was still the first person there. And I got my key early, moved my stuff in, watched a little bit of YouTube, and waited for the proceedings from there.
Okay, cool. Um, can you tell me a little bit about why you think you might be a workaholic?
I identify strongly with my work. I don't feel comfortable in my free time. Now, I know enough about um, typology systems to know that's probably a TE thing. Um, I've just, in school, I always took an extra class. Right now, my job, I took a job. Well, there's a number of things that went into this, but it's important for me to have an environment that I like at work. It's got to be new, clean, fresh, and it's got to be something I like because I identify with it so much. And even for a raise, I'd rather travel further to have the place that I like and feel good at, that I don't mind working a lot, rather than have a higher paying job closer to home, but the office is old and smelly and nasty. So those types of things matter a lot to me more than the average person. Um, I match my clothes meticulously. I need my environment. If you could see, my room, everything's in its proper place. I don't like clutter. Um, And so when I have the right environment, work feels like home. And again, I identify strongly with what I'm doing. You know, even on my Facebook page, I put what I do under there rather than some more personal identifier.
Sure. Okay. So, you didn't mention in your articulations of the ideal office space whether temperature is a significant factor. Do you want it to be a certain temperature?
I am sensitive to temperature. I'm more sensitive to odors. There is I live in Montebello, and I was offered a nice job in West Covina, very close to here, and they had too many air fresheners in the room, and it was like when someone wears too much perfume or cologne. I can't deal with it. I do not like it. It makes me feel, not nauseous, but it was enough for me. Although all the other boxes were checked, that was enough for me to reject that as a possibility. Room temperature, routinely, people like it warmer than me. I prefer a cool space. Um, I I'd rather be a little bit cold and wear a jacket than be too hot. I don't like heat either. And I don't, I'm really touchy when it comes to um, fabric and stuff too. So I don't know if that puts me on the autistic spectrum or something. Maybe
No, I'm not sure quite where I'm going with everything yet, but do you think that cold or heat makes you sleepier?
um, heat definitely makes me sleepier without a doubt.
Okay. So is that part of why you prefer a colder environment because you're more productive in it?
Um, Yeah, I have more energy in a cool environment, and I like the fashion. I like the dress of, you know, being in a cooler environment. I'm not a shorts and t-shirts and sandals kind of guy. I like either to wear a suit or my Adidas track suits, and that's like my go-tos. And I have a lot of variety within those. I can show you my closet. I have a wide spectrum of beautiful colors, always black on the surface. Um, but I like to have that sort of structure, and I'm really picky. I'm a kind of finicky person when it comes to food as well. I'm not the kind of guy who will try something. My partner, she's an ENFP, and you can put anything in front of her and she'll be excited. Oh, what's this going to be? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'm the kind of guy who'll go to a restaurant and order the same time every time. And the one time I try something different, I will regret it. And
Mhm.
so, yeah.
Do you have a sensitive stomach like spicy food you avoid, or just you just have your preferred flavors?
Um, Well, here's the thing. I do have a sensitive stomach, but I still like spicy food. So my mouth likes it, and then my stomach, tells me with a bout of heartburn that I shouldn't have done that. So that's a struggle.
Do you eat these things?
Um, no, but I have boxes of Prilosec in my third drawer down right over here. So those
I
are
gotta
on
tell
call.
you, I suffered from heartburn for a long time without ever taking anything, and then one day I'm like, I'm gonna try taking some antacids, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it might. I find the less I eat, the less I have trouble with heartburn. So um, I'm pretty particular on on when I eat. I do some intermittent fasting, and usually it's dinner that I skip. If I eat too late, I'll get heartburn, even if it's something that shouldn't have given me heartburn. And on the other hand, if I'm not eating at night and my weight's down, I weigh myself every morning. I have a workout routine, and part of that routine is weighing myself. And when my weight is below a certain weight, for me, it's 180. If I'm below 180, I can eat basically whatever I want and I won't get heartburn. As soon as it climbs above that tipping point, I'll have heartburn a lot.
Okay. And what about your sleeping habits? Do you go to bed at a regular time every night?
Yeah. Now, I had some wild and crazy times in my past where I would pull all-nighters and stuff, but I was the type of guy who could always sleep. I've gone through some really stressful times. I remember you were asking Jennifer about that on your last typing session. She was really sensitive to sleep. If she was stressed, she couldn't sleep as well. And for me, I I wake up every morning at about the same time, really early, have my workout routine. I could describe it in immaculate detail. And I have a routine where I'm in bed. Basically, I wake up at about 5 in the morning and I go to bed. I come upstairs and go to bed at about 9 and I'm asleep by 10. So I usually get about 8 hours of sleep.
Hmm. Okay, cool. Um, so all right. Let me ask you about your clothing aesthetics a little bit more. So you said you have variations on basically suits and ties and tracksuits. Um,
Yeah, and
do you work in an industry that before you go any further, you work in an industry that normally has people wearing suits and ties?
yes, but I partly picked that industry because of that, right? So if I worked at a supermarket, I could rise up to be management, but I would be wearing a polo shirt, short sleeve with some slacks or something. I like dressing up. It's sort of like having a uniform, like think of a policeman or maybe even a mailman in some ways, they have their little uniform. Um, Here, let me show you. So this is my closet. And that's what I got going on.
Wow, you got a lot of suits.
Yeah, and I have shoes. Um, yeah, I'm into fashion, and I think in the past, it's like what function is that, right? A lot of people associate with SE. Some people would say FI. Some people would say SI. Um, the
All three
difficult,
of those are wrong.
yeah. Well, so that's good to know because it's a confusing, thing for me and a lot of other people trying to work through model A and think, okay, so valuing, unvaluing, it's
Doesn't
difficult
work.
to
Yeah,
shuffle
it
through.
doesn't work like that. The point is, it's almost certainly an interface value, right? By it would typically be considered an FE interface approach. You're making sure you're looking the part, right? And that's impacting people's perceptions in ways that facilitate your business, whatever it might be. Um,
Yeah.
but but the thing is, I want to let me finish here. But the thing is, I don't necessarily think that because somebody is successfully interfacing on FE vectors that they are an FE person. I think that that's just as much indicative of a TE person who's working in an area where impressions matter.
Right. I do this for me, not, I don't care if someone else likes it or not. I even thought maybe I should dress down for our interview because I know you dress casually and stuff. And I thought, no, this is who I am. I like this. I,
Sometimes I dress fancy.
oh, cool.
I don't always dress down. It's just that's what you normally see me doing because, we're not going out to dinner or something, but sometimes I dress fancy too.
Nice.
Um, so you do it for you because you like to look nice, right?
I love aesthetics. I need my office space to look nice. I need my car to be immaculate and clean. I don't like clutter. I
Can I
like
look
my
behind
clothes.
you? Can I look behind you? This little like area behind you.
Who for
Can I
me?
look in the area behind you? Like no, not that behind you, the other behind you. But you were blocking what I wanted to look at. What's that
Oh,
orange thing right there?
oh, yeah, let me turn on the light. Um, these are pillows. This is my bed.
All right, well, I'm thinking I'm liking the orange, but the middle pillow, I'm not so sure about. What do you think about it?
I'm
Is it the same color, black as the rest of it? Is it just a trouble in the is, is it like black sheets and black pillow?
Yes. It's
Okay,
a
it's
shiny
black.
black sheet. The pillow I got at 3 years ago when I was leasing apartments in Beverly Hills. I had a special client who made these designer pillows from Italy, and she let me pick out one, and so it's nice. But
It goes
generally,
with the other orange pillows and the black. I just couldn't. The sheet doesn't look black. It looks green.
oh yeah, no, it's shiny black. But yeah, normally I'm not a patterns guy. I like bold colors, but generally I don't like patterns.
Yeah. Well, I just saw that the solid orange. I liked it. It's like you got good shade of orange there.
Well, thanks.
Um. So, all right. This is an interesting question. I want you to speculate about how this happened. We had a bunch of snow here today, and then we had some rain, and it made this pattern of little polka dots all along there. How do you suppose that happened?
That's not in Temple City, is it?
No, no, I don't live in LA anymore. We live up in Mariposa.
Oh, okay.
It's
Um,
snowing right now, crazily enough.
so the patterns, I would think that there's some sort of underlying pattern on the ground that the snow is clumping around, like maybe certain flowers or clumps of grass or something like that. And that in combination with the distinct way the snow is falling might be creating a pattern like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is, I don't think that's the explanation because, like, these are snow on top of leaves and stuff. This is just, I have no explanation for it because it's like there's not anything. I've never seen it before, and it's snowed out here plenty of times. I don't know. The weird mix of snow and rain made that weird pattern. I just thought see what your speculation was. That's a reasonable speculation or speculative conclusion to draw. Okay, so let me ask you now about solving problems.
Sure.
Let's say you've got you go leave your house, turn the doorknob, it falls off in your hand, falls off on both sides of the door. Walk me through your solution.
So was I walking out of the house or trying to get into the house?
You're walking out of the house. You're probably on your way to go someplace, and now you got a doorknob that's falling on both sides of the door. One half on one
Okay,
side, one half on the other side.
so if I'm going to work and I check the door and it's you can't get in either way, I don't want to be late for work, so I'm gonna figure my door's gonna be okay, and I'll find a solution. I'll make some calls at work to have someone fix it. If if it's my day off and I'm just going to the store and coming back, then I would walk around the back of the house and see if, try to get in through the back side and then see if I can open the door from the inside just with the protruding part of the doorknob that's still there. And after testing it out, um, then I would go to Home Depot and probably get a whole new door lock with keys and just take care of it myself.
You fix that yourself, huh? Okay. Do you think you'd have any trouble figuring out how to fix it?
If it fell off, I'm assuming there's something wrong with it, and I don't like to waste time with broken things and fixing them, whether it's objects or people.
Yeah.
If it's a mess.
I didn't mean fix the broken doorknob. I meant replace it. You think
Oh
you have
yeah,
trouble figuring?
not at all. I just go to Home Depot. The most difficult part is getting it out of those weird plastic wraps they put it in, that you basically need a razor blade knife to get the utensil out that you need.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm familiar with that.
you know what I'm talking about,
I
right?
know
So
what you're talking about. Yeah.
so once I get the parts out, I can put them back in. It's just I don't like that kind of work, but I can do it.
See. Okay, so let me ask you some introverted thinking questions. Uh, if all mermaids have breasts,
Wait, I'm
and
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Say that again.
if all mermaids have breasts, and some things that have breasts are dairy cows, is it necessarily the case that some mermaids are dairy cows?
No.
Okay. If only Egyptians build skyscrapers, and I am an Egyptian, do I necessarily build skyscrapers?
Yes.
Some frogs play baseball, and all things that play baseball uh, enjoy hot dogs. Is it necessarily the case that some frogs enjoy hot dogs?
I would say yes. If all frogs, let me hear that right. All
If
frogs. Oh,
some frogs play baseball, all things that play baseball like hot dogs. Do some frogs like hot dogs necessarily?
yes. Well, not all frogs, but some frogs will necessarily like hot dogs.
Correct. Okay. Um, if um if no penguins eat candy and um and I don't eat candy, am I necessarily a penguin?
Not at all. No, you could be something else and not eat candy.
That's true. All right, let me ask you some genealogy questions here. Can you tell me who my father's father's wife is in relation to me?
Great grandmother.
No, just my grandmother.
Wait, say that again.
My father's father's wife.
Your father's wife. Yeah, yeah, it would be great grandmother or step
It's just
grandmother if
regular.
it's
It's just regular grandmother. Your dad's dad is your grandfather.
right. I thought you said your dad's father.
So my
No.
dad's dad's wife.
Oh, then it would be your grandmother, right?
Yep. Okay. How about my mom's sister's only daughter's only brother in relation to me?
I don't know, some sort of cousin.
Yeah, cousin. All right. Let me try a couple of missing generalization problems. So here's an example. Jody definitely can't come in here. She's not a poet. The answer could be only poets can come in here, no non-poets can come in here, or all people who can come in here are poets. Any of those would be correct. You're going to provide the answer is going to start with all, only, or no. Okay. So, for example, she can't be good at science. She doesn't wear glasses.
She's assuming that only people who wear glasses are good in science.
Right. Okay. Good. So that's the answer. It's only people who. Yeah. Okay. So now here's the next one. They must be from Iceland. They like iceberg lettuce.
Well, that's ridiculous because anyone can like iceberg lettuce, whether many
Right.
Icelandic people like it
Sure.
or not.
But the point is, if you're going to make it valid, the valid generalization for that is all people from Iceland like
Right.
iceberg lettuce, or no people from Iceland don't like iceberg lettuce, or only iceberg lettuce likers live in Iceland.
Right. Yeah.
Let's try. Let's try one more here. If um, okay, so those tourists must not be German. They're speaking French.
The person is assuming that anyone who speaks French couldn't be German.
So no Germans speak French. All French speakers aren't German, or only non-French speakers are German. Okay, so fine. Um, all right. So can you talk to me about like without revealing any more than you're comfortable with, but an example of say uh a challenging client or something that you had to win over, smooth over, whatever, and how you went about doing that? If you have
Um,
clients like that, I don't know if you have that
Gosh, I
situation.
have more stories of where it has gone wrong. Um, but I've had, okay, so I work in the apartment business and post COVID, we have a lot of prices going up. And my job is to process renewal leases. So when someone's apartment lease goes up, um, it's my job to get them to renew their lease. Now, in times of prosperity, this is easy commission money because they're comfortable where they're at. They don't want to go anywhere. Um, their rent isn't going up. Yes, show me where to sign, right? But more recently, we've had rent increases. So people's rents shooting up, sometimes up to $700, $800 over what they were paying before. And as you can guess, people aren't very happy about that.
So what's that
So
in terms of percentage?
it's gone, well, maybe 25%.
That's a huge hike
Right. So,
for
we're looking
all of a
at
sudden hike. Yeah.
a one bedroom going from 2,100 to 2,870, stuff like that. And Right. So, the person's coming in swearing and everything. And my default, I think this is partly a male thing as well as maybe a typing thing, but I'm not the kind of guy to like give you a hug and tell you I'm so sorry or anything like that. I want to fix it. So what I do is I show the person, look, I acknowledge that I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. This is a high rent increase, but you were paying way below market. Let's pull up Google Maps and look at all the apartment buildings in the area. You have a 753 square foot one bedroom. Let's look at the average price. You want to go down the street? Wow, look at that, 2,900. You want to go over here? Okay, that one's about the same as what you're paying now, but do you want to go through all that hassle to move when just to pay the same thing in a community you don't know? Or, yeah, this one's a lot less over here, but that's further south of Sunset Boulevard. Would you like to live somewhere where you're paying less rent, but you'll have bars on your window and a protruding AC out your window that doesn't work with a lot of maintenance problems? I don't think so. So as bad as the situation is, I think this is still a viable option for you. And then they say, let me think about it. And then they come back and sign up.
I see.
And that's a real story.
So typically, then you're dealing with people who it's within their budget to afford this rent increase, I guess.
Not always. I mean, sometimes they can't make it. And in those cases, it's just not going to work out.
Right.
And
Sure. Interesting because I'm going into the landlording business myself here pretty soon. We bought a property down the road and we're getting ready for month-to-month rental or maybe a year lease or something. So, I'll be dealing with all this stuff soon, pretty soon myself. We just have to, we had to do some like repairs after we bought the place. We had to fix the septic and stuff, but it's almost ready to go. I'll see if
be careful vetting people who want to rent. Fraud is rampant. They'll give you fake bank statements, fake pay stubs. You have to really watch for that.
okay, cool. Well, one advantage I may have here in our landlord is there's very few month-to-month rentals available in this marketplace because it's mostly people who have income properties have them as vacation rentals. You can make a little bit more money, but depends on circumstance. Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully that gives me a bit of more pick of the litter, I guess.
That's a good thing. Yeah, you won't be dealing with people, some of the characters that I've had to deal with in Hollywood and Los Angeles.
Yeah. Um. So, you deal with like cool apartments. Is that what you're saying? That people want to live in.
Luxury apartments, but with in this day and age, especially in Hollywood, Los Angeles, a lot of the expensive apartments are coming, or they're being rented by younger people with new money, if you know what I mean. So they might have they might be cash rich, but they aren't your most moral or ethical characters. So, we rented one place in Beverly Hills to a well-known rapper, and him and his crew just wrecked the apartments. And then they didn't even pay their last couple months until they were threatened with legal action. And it can be a real mess.
Hmm, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, okay. So, do you think that you are unusually good at maintaining a calm demeanor in the face of angry people?
Yeah, what I will do is I'll be calm and collected. Um, if it comes to aggression, physical aggression even, I can handle myself, but I don't prefer it. I don't like that. But what I usually will do is I'll deal with it professionally and calmly, and then I'll come home and whine about it at home.
Mm,
You know.
okay. Maybe work it out the next morning in your workout. Huh?
Yeah, I'll just yeah, I complain a lot. Um, Unfortunately, but at least I admit it.
Right. Well, I mean, if something needs to be complained about,
Yeah.
no one's well served by people pretending bullshit's not bullshit.
Right. And there's just a lot of things that aren't that go down that aren't necessarily fair, even interoffice politics, stuff like that. My last job, I felt like I was sort of run out of there. They hired a bunch of young people and they had their little cliques, and I was like the bitter older guy, compared to all of them. And um because of the uneven workload, I started complaining more, because they were busy screwing around or recovering from their hangovers, and I was doing the majority of the work, and I didn't appreciate that.
So obviously you have enough of a track record of success that you can kind of pick your employment situation, huh?
Yes, it's not a super lucrative business. I mean, it was good enough to get me my sports car. I have a Jaguar F Type that I really like. But I'm never going to be a millionaire doing this. The good side is if or when things go south, I've been able to switch companies without long bouts of unemployment. So that's been a nice thing.
Well, obviously, if you're dealing in luxury apartments, that certainly explains the suits and stuff. Do you make an effort when you say are going to show such an apartment or trying to re sign a deal to not upstage in your appearance the person you're dealing with, or you don't worry about that?
I I I look in the mirror and worry about how I look, and I if they I usually get compliments on my appearance, from the way I dress and match my clothes and stuff. But if it rubs some people the wrong way, so be it. I don't care about that.
Do you think if you were a woman, you might feel the need to pay more attention to not upstaging another woman in terms of your appearance?
Well, um,
In other
gosh,
words, if I were a woman, if I were a woman colleague and I was asking you for advice about this, what would you tell me?
um, I would say be you. Like, we're born alone, we die alone. The world outside doesn't care about your dreams, your hopes, your fears. They might give you lip service. A lot of FE leads will tell you what you want to hear and give you hugs and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And they'll go right on with the rest of their lives and not give a shit about what you're struggling with. Life is short and we have to live it the way we want. And if dressing up makes you feel good, then you do that. That's what I'm doing. When I'm going through a hard time, if my room is clean and my car looks nice and my clothes look good, my bed is made, that's a good start. Maybe it's denial in some ways, but that I go inward to make myself feel better. I don't find comfort in someone else's kind words that I don't even know if they mean it or not. And I think I oftentimes misinterpret people's good intentions or bad intentions, and that's been, I'm not saying or thinking that maybe is my polar function or something, but a lot of times I think someone is, you know, maybe I'm my friend and I don't know if they, thought as highly about me as I thought they did. And other times I assume someone, I assume like people are out to get me a lot, and maybe that's my mistake. And I get a chip on my shoulder really easily, and then find out, maybe I had something to do with, like the situation I was telling you about, the office politics, the young kids. It's like I felt like I was, maybe a little bit shy in the office, but they thought I was aloof and stuck up. In my mind, I just didn't relate as well to them, but they thought I was kind of weird and stuck up into myself, and I just didn't have much in common with them, you
Sure.
know.
Um, gotcha. So, you seem to have pretty good clarity on what you want and what's important to you.
Yeah, and I think for typing purposes, I was thinking about this before our meeting. The older someone is, the more difficult it is to type them because they have more balance. The um, the highs and lows aren't going to stand out as much, maybe. But yeah,
I mean, it's like you're going to be somewhat challenging because you're obviously very knowledgeable about functions.
and
I think more to do with that than age.
yeah, and I found that to be a real struggle. And the it's sort of like the deeper you dive, the murkier the water gets. The people who get their types right are the ones who just barely get into it. Oh, there's my type. Got it. All right, I'm done. And when the more you get into it, you start not knowing. When we get to the point where a third grader knows the difference between extroversion and introversion better than a typing expert does, or someone who's been studying it for a couple of years, you've arrived somewhere you're not supposed to be.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I never had even a moment's lack of certainty from the very first moment I encountered typology as to what type I was. I've never doubted it or questioned it or had anything contravening evidence telling me what type I am to something else. I have 100% certainty about it on every level and never have wavered on it at all. So the thing is, that's very informative, your relationship with that sort of stuff, right? Like how how comfortable you are knowing your type versus say um feeling like you could know multiple types versus saying I've determined my type definitively with this deliberation function. These are different ways that we approach the question, right?
Well,
There
right.
are certain
And then,
types who are most likely to hum and haw about their type, though.
I'm sorry, say that again.
There are certain types that are most likely to hum and haw about their type.
Right. Yeah. And it also depends on how much you weigh certain ways to type yourself. A lot of people go mostly on self tests, which, I think that's probably not the right way to go. Other people look to their friends, other people look to, typing services, which is another difficulty because if you get typed by enough people, sometimes all it takes is two people. You'll get different types from different people, sometimes people who you respect
Well,
them both. And so it's a
well,
question of
sure.
defining the
The
terms.
thing is, it's really a question of how you explain why they're a certain type. So I don't know exactly what type you are right now, but I can eliminate certain things. You're definitely not SI polar. You're not TI polar. You're not TE polar. You're not SE polar. We can eliminate all of those. So already we've getting rid of half the types. But just on skills tests. So now let me do an extrovert intuition skills test. Um, I'd like you to tell me a story about a clam who meets and befriends an octopus, and they have some kind of an adventure.
Okay, so an octopus is trying to hunt for food and it's scouring the bottom of the ocean and it comes to a clam. It tries to get in, it can't. Tries some more, it still can't. And then the clam in this scenario can communicate with the octopus and says, "Why are you trying to kill me?" And the octopus says, "Hey, I'm just trying to feed myself so I don't starve." And the clam says, "Look, there's food over there. Don't you have any other things to do besides attack me for food?" And the octopus goes, "Well, I didn't think of it that way before, so yeah, I'll go over there and get some food." Octopus finds some small fish or plankton or whatever it finds over there, and then comes back to the clam and says, "Hey, thank you. That was nice of you." And the clam says, "Well, thank you." And then they meet, and then they start hanging out more, and then the octopus in return gives the clam something to eat, and they become friends and live happily ever after together.
Okay. You ever heard me ask Anky Panky questions before?
No.
All right. So I'll give you a couple of examples of them. The way it works is this. The answer that you're going to give me will always be two rhyming words. So I'll give you a clue like hilltop water spout, and I'll tell you it's an inky pinky, which means the answer sounds like meow 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 meow. Okay. In this case, it's mountain fountain. So mountain fountain are the two words that mean hilltop water spout that rhyme that are each two syllables, right? So I'll give you another example. Roadway flush. Roadway flush. It's an ink pink. And the answer is street meat.
Wow. All right. This is already difficult for me.
It's a little tricky to get the hang of the idea. Okay, I'll give you another example for the idea here. Um, this is um, so this would be um, like a 1920s dancer, somebody who arms 1920s dancers. It's an inky pinky. It would be a trapper strapper. Flapper strapper. Flapper strapper. The flapper is a dancer from the 1920s. Somebody who gives them a gun as a strapper. They strap one onto them. That's not a great one. But okay, let's try a couple of basic ones here and see if you get the concept. So the first one is this. This is a sunrise yard, and it's an ink pink.
I That's a sunrise yard, you said?
Yeah.
I need you to tell me the answer. I can't think of it.
It's dawn for sunrise and lawn for yard.
Okay. I
All
should
right.
have got that one. All right.
Let's try another simple one, and then I'm going to ask you to see if you can make up one for me.
Okay.
So the next simple one, this is uh, a brick fence. It's toppling from a brick fence. It's an ink pink.
A doll falls. I don't know.
Yeah, a wall fall. It's actually a wall fall. Okay.
Oh, wall
Now,
fall.
can you try to come up with one for me?
Um, yeah, let's say um I can't think of one. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. No, that's I'm just trying to figure out what to do with where to put things in slots and stuff. Informative. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to and tell you a long sentence that's got redundancies, extra words in it that it doesn't need, and so forth. And then
All
I
right.
want you to collapse it down to uh, the short version of it. Okay.
All
So
right.
here's the sentence. If you really enjoy engaging with luxury clients who are in search of a rental, be it by a lease or month to month contract, and who are in the market for a fancy place, and you wish to take advantage of commissions available in the real estate market, then perhaps you should enter the fine field of property management. And you too can experience the many joys of engaging with possibly celebrities and very fancy places and signing contracts and doing all kinds of stuff like that.
Right. If you are interested in the luxury apartment business with all the exciting things and people you will do and meet, check us out. We could be found right here at Shane Starr at irvinecompany.com.
All right. Okay. Um, okay, good. That's not polar. All right. So we can eliminate anti-polar, I think, too. Uh, I would also go as far as to say, although I don't normally try to eliminate this uh, very readily, I think we can eliminate FI polar too. Um, when you say you complain, to whom do you complain?
Um, Usually my kids or my kid's mother.
Okay. Um, how do your kids enjoy listening to your complaining?
I don't know, but I enjoy complaining. I think they get sick of hearing me tell the same problem over and over. A good example of this is when I needed to get this new job that I just started. I was debating, closer location, but not as nice of an office versus the dream job, but it's an hour drive to and from work. And my kids had to hear me complain about the pros and cons of each place. It's like, we go to church on Sundays, but I have to work Sundays at the job I really want. So that's going to end. And my son's like, I know, Dad, you told me this a million times. And, I'm just processing it, and it's probably not healthy to put your kid through that. You know, um, I don't know where this fits in the function spot. I don't have FI polar, but I think it's better than it really is. Like I think I'm building rapport on an interpersonal basis, and the other person's probably rolling their eyes because I take too long to tell a story with too many details, and they get tired of it. And then, or I'll say the same thing over and over again, or complain about the same stuff over and over again. And, someone will sit there and just go, well, if you don't like it, switch. It's like, it's not that simple. I can't just, you know, and so, yeah. And I
So you're
don't,
saying that phenomenon you're talking about there is one that causes people to think maybe your FI is worse than it is?
I, you know, I, I'm wondering if that's the case because, I don't like crowds. I don't go to Disneyland. I don't like family gatherings that much. My worst nightmares. Come on, Shane, get up here. We're all gonna sing right now. It's like, no, I'm gonna be in the corner on my phone. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not upset. I'm just as happy to be here as you, but let me sit in the corner and read my book or be on my phone. So I know I don't do good in a crowd, but one on one, I think I do well. But then I get sometimes I do well, but then other times there's misunderstandings, and other times, it's hit and miss with that. And here I am in my mind, after an interaction, I think, yeah, I really hit that one out of the park, and then I'll hear that, sometimes that they complained about something during that time, and I like don't know where that came from, and that's not a common occurrence, but it has happened. Or I think I had a really good morning with my son, and then, um, you know, the next morning he's complaining about, what I was whining about, so.
So, um, and you see that as being possibly interpreted as not such great FI, just to confirm what you're saying, right?
I value it, but I, I
Okay.
don't think I'm as
The reason
good
I'm
as.
asking this is because what you're describing is not such great FE. It had nothing to do with FI.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So
Right.
see, I have a poor understanding of it. Then again, there's like overlap or mix up in my understanding of, maybe I'm thinking of MBTI definitions where, that
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Well,
outdated.
but more likely is you're doing something that almost everybody does, even if they're very knowledgeable about functions. Even me will do this, is mistaking your polar for something else.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I
FE is your polar, and I think you're an ISTJ.
yeah, that's what I personally test as, and that's what my significant other, she says, I showed her the functions and she said that that was my worst thing was FE. She's all, oh, easy right there. And she picked NE as my second worst thing.
Well, and that would follow. I gotta say, your FE, whatever when you think after this conversation, I killed it. You did kill it. Your FE's been great, but that just goes to show you, FE is not about like making a making a good impression, a bad impression, or whatever. It's about predicting how the other person's going to react.
And I never know. It's a crapshoot. My last job ended with a complaint from someone who I thought I had a wonderful interaction in history with that person, and to hear that they thought I was rude and or something, like I was like, when, how? I was perfectly cordial, professional. I didn't use any swear words. I didn't.
You probably did nothing wrong at all. Listen, you got to understand that different people value different things. So, for example, we had a neurologist one time who told us exactly all the right things to do, but we did not do them because he did not explain to me why. Now, from your perspective, you probably think this guy's the expert. He knows how to do this. He's telling you this information is correct about what you should do. Why would you not listen to him and do it? He didn't do anything wrong, but I didn't like him anyway because he didn't seem to think it mattered whether he'd explained to me why it's we should believe him on this, why this is the case. Now, that wasn't necessary from any objective perspective for us to know why, right? But it was objectively necessary for me because I can't know that unless I know why.
What's your type?
I'm an ENTP.
All right, I was gonna say ENTP or INTP, but that's good.
Yeah. So the thing is, this person, they may just basically said, I don't want you to tell me how to solve my problem because I don't like it when other people tell me how to solve my problem, even though that might be your job and they need their problem solved by you. They're going to complain about you just for doing your job properly and well, because they don't like the job you do. They don't like to be told how to do things or
Right.
why they're beneficial. They don't want to be helped to calculate it out. They want to have this kind of emotional meanings with you. And you're going to be the best you can be, which is the only thing anybody can ask of you. And some people are going to not like it anyway, even though you did everything perfect.
Yeah, and that's something I should know that by now that it's about them, not me, but it still bothers me when things go sideways like that.
Just remember, it's not even exactly about them. It's about they're valuing something specific and anticipating something specific that upholds their value. And you're probably looking objectively at the situation and saying, well, from a solvency perspective, here's the best thing to do, and here's why. And they're saying, I don't care. This is solved well. What I need you to do is commiserate with my pain.
Yeah, and I can't do that well. No.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just like, look, we got a decision to make. Here are the benefits. Here are the cons. I suggest you do it. It seems preferable to you the other options, but if you don't want it, then fine. We'll just nix this thing. Meanwhile, they're in an emotional upheaval state because they got all this change occurring in them.
right. And I mean, I don't do especially well with change either, but I can at least make a rational decision about something. And if I pick the second best option instead of the first best option, I'll know why I personally chose that. And other people, they don't even, it seems like they don't even want to choose. They just want to emotion pour out and make it a big deal.
Right. Well, what they mostly don't want is their expectations to be up upended, and their expectation is, I thought I didn't think this was going to be a problem coming up right now. You know, I didn't anticipate this
And
adequately.
or and they think they're the exception to the rules. Everyone seems to think that they're the one who should be able to get around what the policies and procedures and rules are, and that gets to me also, you know.
I mean, the other thing is if they signed a 1 year lease, right, and the
Right.
lease is up, they have no expectation of even being allowed to lease it again,
Exactly. But
let
as
alone
you
being
know,
offered it at a certain price.
in this day and age, everyone thinks they're the exception to the rule, you know?
I'm sure you're a lot nicer than I'd be. I'd be like, listen here, you dumb bitch. The lease is up. Do you want to
Right.
re-sign this or not? Don't
The,
blame me. The lease is up. You could have signed a 2 year lease, but you feel
yep.
like a dumbass now, dumbass. That's what I would say.
That's what I like to say a lot. But you know, in this day and age, you have squatters taking over homes and living there for free, and then the owners getting sued when they change the locks on them. So, you know, it's Orwell's 1984 for real.
Yeah, well, I do understand how to solve that squatters problem. What you have to do is, it's really only super possible with if you if you live there, but you got to write a lease to some third party. Like I could write it potentially to my wife, and then, or she could write it to me, and then I go as soon as they leave, I go occupy it with my own lease and change the locks. Then
Yeah,
they're not allowed to get back in. Now it's my squatters' rights.
there you go. Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I read about that technique. I didn't make it up. Um, but it is something I'm thinking about because we are starting going to be doing our first income property ever. We've never done this before, so hopefully everything goes okay.
Right. Well, now you're looking sharp.
I got this hat on because it's cold out here. And even though it's not a wool hat, it still makes the less hot come from the top of my head, you know. So what you did basically think probably ISTJ coming in?
Um, all my self tests are always ISTJ, but I've done typing sessions with others before and didn't get that result before. So, um, but I always felt strangely about those other results. This one resonates with me, how I feel where I'm at.
And just to make a sort of a quick nutshell case of it, your SI is banging off the charts. You remember details, the great detail. That's typical for SI Dom. Um, your TE is banging, obviously. You're very solvency oriented. The clothes and looking good and stuff, that does typically be an FE thing. But as you said, for you, it's what you like, you know. You feel good, makes you like, you know, you're into your physical environment, and that includes your clothes, you know.
Right.
And that's absolutely consistent with an SI Dom, even though it might ring weird for an FE polar person to care about fashion and have good taste. There's nothing inherently inconsistent about that. Um, and your FI third slot seems much clearer than anything that I would call FE. You don't do a whole lot of um, visual cueing of like showing your like, I hear you and now continue on. Oh yeah, you don't do all that FE shit, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and it seems like you're definitely not NI polar, you're not TE polar, you're not SE polar, you're not FI polar, you're not NE polar, but it's not strong. And you're not you're you're not, did I say NI? You're not NI polar. I eliminated basically every polar except for FE. So that locks you into INTJ, ISTJ. Given that the SI is so strong, it seems pretty definitive ISTJ, not INTJ.
Got it. That's a great analysis. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
So,
I will,
do you want me to share this with you privately, or are you comfortable with me publishing?
you can publish it. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Eric. We'll be in touch and I'll continue watching your channel avidly.
All right. Well, thanks so much, man. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
All right. Likewise.
All right.
Bye bye.
Cool. Bye.